How's it going, Radical viewers? Gaddy right back into a more Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, and there's no session today. I mean, as of today, it's Wednesday, our usual time when we do avarice of the half-cast things. But number one, it's Christmas, so that ain't happening, and number two, we kind of finished avarice of the half-cast. Ooh, dear sweet lord, that was my longest campaign yet. Ooh. That said, my Dungeons and Mad Mage crew kind of run into something similar, but we were able to get at least a one-shot in which we kind of banded together and create a character for fun for me to play and play test. And I decided to try to go in depth with that character build, as I kind of had the idea in my head. I just kind of bounced ideas off the DM and the other players to just kind of flesh it out more. And that's basically what this video is going to be. It's going to be a far shorter and far more in-depth look at creating Mage Hawke in Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. So without further ado, first things we're going to need is a clean sheet. Thankfully, with average half-cast done, I don't have to worry about trying to kill Talon off, so bye-bye Sun Wukong, you were a fun dream I wish ever saw fruition. I am very sad you didn't. So, Dragon Age 2 Mage Hawke. Well, what is Dragon Age 2 Mage Hawke? Well, he's a human and he's a mage. Simple enough to go off of, right? So that's something we can just run with right out of the gate. Going with the human. Now bear in mind, a lot of this is dealer's choice and kind of like how you view Hawke or Mage Hawke for yourself. If you play Dragon Age 2 and that's what you're going off of, or if you just want something kind of fun that's, you know, you can cast spells, but you can also be good in melee. That's why I kind of base this build around. So it really kind of depends on how your Hawke was. I mean, that's kind of the joy of basing this off of a video game RPG character, is like, yeah, there's some basic elements to it, but a lot of it's really flexible. You can basically just be whatever the flying heck you want and still be pretty true to your view of the character. Languages doesn't really matter. Hawke's hung out with elves, he's hung out with dwarves, he's killed enough Kunari, which can kind of double as Dragon Age tieflings to probably speak half of their language, so have fun with that. I personally pick Elvish. I like Elvish. And we are going to want Variant Human for a very, very good reason. Not just for the ability score increases we can just throw willy-nilly at whatever the hell we want. We're going to want to throw it in Dexterity and Charisma, by the way, for reasons. And as for skill proficiencies, I personally would recommend something in speech. You know, I mean, this is going to be a charisma heavy class. It's going to double as the face of the party. Later on, it's going to double as an AC attack if you can find a good set of armor for it. And a fairly half decent DPS and fireball specialist. We'll get into that in a moment. So, really, anything dealing with persuasion, intimidation, whatever. Again, it depends how you played Hawke. Were you a charming, kind of sarcastic a-hole, or did you intimidate everybody by saying you were going to light them on fire and make sure when they looked you dead in the eye that they knew damn well you really wanted to light them on fire? I might have done that in some of my Dragon Age playthroughs. Moving on. Choose a class. Now, this is going to be kind of the baseline foundation of what our Mage Hawke is going to be. And this is where I'm going to start going in depth, and my apologies if I start boring people with this explanation. But the way mages and magic works in Dragon Age is not quite like how it does in Dungeons & Dragons. In Dungeons & Dragons, really anyone could learn magic. You just had to be able to read and memorize. That's how most wizards do it. They literally base everything off their memory and their intellect and have a spell book, and that's it. I mean, literally anyone technically in Dungeons & Dragons can do magic. But that's not how it works in Dragon Age. In Dragon Age, you're either born with magic or you're born without magic. And if you're born with magic, your world got really interesting. And while, yes, studies and all that helped you with your magical talents, it wasn't always necessary. Like, Morrigan herself was a witch of the wild. She learned from her mother at best, and from the way they interact, I doubt she learned much from him. I'm pretty sure she just kind of figured it out on her own. So with that knowledge in mind, I would say the best starting class for this would have to be Sorcerer. As sorcerers, They cast magic, but they're born with it. They're just able to do it. They don't need a silly book. They don't need to study. They just like, hey, look at that. I flick my wrist and now everything's on fire. And I'm happy suddenly. It's a 2-part freaking spell. Skill proficiencies. Again, dealer's choice. I like throwing Arcana on there just because, I mean, yes, mages in Dragon Age technically just know their magic and can just cast their magic, but it helps to say that you have some knowledge of magic. It doesn't have to be good knowledge. And of course, another preferable charisma skill. As for Sorcerer's Origin, this really kind of depends again on more so how you view your Hawk. I mean, I do have 2 recommendations. Wild Magic is definitely fun for the idea. I'm not even gonna lie. Wild Magic is very fun. Storm Sorcery, it's not bad, and if you're leaning more towards having elements on your side, it's a really great way to play it. Shadow Magic, Divine Soul, you know, I mean, Divine Soul, yeah, you can be a somewhat good healer. Honestly, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't play Divine Soul that much out of all the sorcerer subclasses I toyed with. But honestly, I love the idea that Mage Hawke was a blood mage, and I love the idea that his bloodline was special. So a great way of saying his bloodline was special was going with the Draconic bloodline. I dug it. I mean, ultimately, that's the thing, though. You could just be whatever the hell kind of sorcerer you want. I just recommend sorcerer. Like, be whatever sorcerer you want. And for heritage, well, this is, if you go with the Draconic bloodline, something I really like doing is I like specializing in a particular element with my sorcerers, though I haven't played many. And my favorite has always been fire. I'm a pyromaniac, I guess, in D&D. It's funny. So, you know, just whatever element you really like. I mean, this is your Hawk. I really... A pyromaniac like mine? Does he like zapping crap with lightning? Does he like burning things with acid instead of fire? Whatever the hell the analogy for poison would be in Dragon Age, I don't know, honestly. It's been a while. Or just flat out, I freeze you to death with cold damage. I like fire. Fire's my favorite. Moving on. And this also comes with some fun bonuses. Like, you know, talking to dragons better than your party. That's a great thing. I mean, it's Dungeons and Dragons. Chances you're going to run into a dragon? Pretty up there in most campaigns. My first campaign, literally a starter module for Dungeons and Dragons from Wizard of the Coast. There's a frickin' dragon in it. Because it has to be a dragon in it. I wish I was a sorcerer with Draconic Bloodline, because it would have been really nice to talk to it. Also a bonus, Draconic Resilience. Just free mage armor. Yeah, just because you're going to be squishy out of the gate, it helps a little bit. Moving on to ability score method. Now, standard array, point buy, whatever you do, it just kind of depends on the game you're going to get into with this. But I always constantly recommend Charisma is your highest stat. You can dip a little bit in Strength. In fact, Strength can just flat out be your dump stat. Dexterity is pretty good. Pardon me, goodness. Oh, I don't know where that's coming from. Con, second highest stat. After that, it just kind of depends on where you want to throw these things. I mean, right there, standard array, that's fine. Personally, though, I always prefer point buy. I don't like standard array. I like the versatility point buy can give you, because I can just do this, this, and that, and this, and that, and wabam. I have Hawk exactly how I want him. And with the bonuses we picked earlier, that gives us 8 Strength, 14 Dexterity, 14 Con, 10 Intelligence, 12 Wisdom, and 16 Charisma, right out of the gate. The only way you could better optimize these would be if you roll for stats, and if you rolled absurdly frickin' well for it. Don't do that, though. Unless they're giving you, like, god rolls, like... What was the one Legion uses? He uses 4d6, drop the lowest, reroll once. That's the one we use. We roll that, not 6, but 7 times, and we keep the top highest 6 for the stats. It's absurd, and it makes gods. It's great. Unless you're the bard who rolls terrible on average, which is great. Moving on to background. Again, this is kind of dealer's choice. I mean, Hawke's been through a lot, even before he became the champion of Kirkwall. Well, before he became the champion of Kirkwall. I mean, he's ran from the Blight, he was an apostate, and the list goes on. I mean, frickin' he met Flemeth. Mostly dealer's choice. I mean, personally, recommendation? Hey, screw it and go with custom. Oh, that's right. I put haunted in one here for some reason. And basically just make it whatever the heck you want. Me, I personally like... I like that. I like going Blood Mage because in my mind he was. Like, I know it's seen as evil in Dragon Age, but I always like that idea too. It's like, yeah, but I'm using it to help people, so... You... And this gives us the wonderful ability to pick a couple of extra set of skills and another language or two. You know? I find that very helpful. As for the custom background feature, I mean, really, you could just... The usual rule of thumb with that is you just pick one out of the current backgrounds and you use that. I don't like that. I like trying to come up with my own idea of what a custom feature for this custom background would be. And I try to make it along the same lines as those. My personal favorite would be... most people at a glance don't know I'm a Blood Mage, but those that find out, or are made to know that I'm a Blood Mage, tend to be a little bit more receptive to me, just in hopes of getting rid of me faster. Because blood magic is frowned upon and looked upon as bad, and I like that. That's a nice little bit of flavoring that your DM can work with, like, a lot. You just need to mention it's like, I started just playing with fire from my fingertips after freaking sitting there chilling on my thumb or something. You know, something stupid. And he's just like, oh, you're showing yourself that you're a blood mage. Okay, well, he's now freaking giving you a discount on his wares just to get you the fuck out of there. You know, it's fun. I like it. As for a skill, again, I recommend something in preferably persuasion. That said, as persuasion heavily as you are, performances that come up too often, I do like having perception checked on there, because perception comes in handy, and insight, because, I mean, those are honestly my backup skills for all my characters. They just, you're going to use insight a lot, perception comes up a lot, like, everything else, like, you're either using your specialty of your class, like, this is going to be a face character, you can talk to people really easily, or you're staying out of the conversation. Something I kind of wish a couple of my other party members had learned in some of my other games. Moving on. Personality traits, ideals, bonds, flaws, completely up to you guys. How was your Hawke? Again, was he a sarcastic wise ass like mine was? Was he a very scary and intimidating, I will burn you alive if you don't agree with me kind of tyrant? Maybe not the word I should use. Or was he just nice? Yeah, it's all up to you. Just have fun with it. One of the reasons I really like this character build is because it gives a lot of options just to customize it to your own liking. And for equipment, just go with class equipment. Trust me, this gets swapped out, I would say around level 5. Where a lot of this doesn't even matter anymore. But for starting out, honestly, Quarterstaff, you're a mage, why not? Arcane Focus, flavor it that's in your staff, by all means. Dungeoneer packs, Explorer packs, I mean, it kind of depends on whether your DM is throwing at you. Like, if this is just a level 1 and you don't know what you're doing, Explorer's pack will always safer, honestly. But if you know it's going to be one hell of a dungeon crawl in the future, by all means, get the Dungeoneer pack. It has saved my life a few times. And then finally, we're on to cantrips and spells. Any guess what I'm going to say? Pick whatever the heck you want. Are you specializing in an elemental badass? Are you lean towards you're going to be in the melee a lot more often? And so on and so forth. Just have fun with it. Me, I like fire. I really, really like fire. I choose a lot of fire spells. I like fire. And of course I hear someone in the background already typing away in the comments if they haven't already, saying it's like, well, if you specialize in one element, you're going to kind of bone yourself in the future. You are correct, sir. That is why we also pick other elements and not just whatever we're focusing on. Because that would be dumb. Can't tell you how many times that actually came up in my D&D lifetime, and it's completely screwed some of us. Wait a minute, this wasn't my original. No, I did take Shocking Grass. I did take that. I don't think I took Chill Touch originally. I took... Sorry, I'm trying to remember this from my original initial build of this. Like, I have it set in stone, and I kind of... There we go. Control Flames. I like Fire. Fire's fun. Fire's fun. That's why we take Burning Hands. Fire's fun. You tell I like Fire? Also, the fire spells in this are absurdly good. Now, if you're kind of curious as to why I'm not immediately taking Shield as a squishy sorcerer, we'll get into that. Like, you can out of the gate. I don't recommend it because it's going to come with when we multi-class this sucker. That said, Burning Hand's a nice knife. You have your primary element spell. You have your backup element spell. You should be golden. If you're not, you're doing something wrong. And then finally, because we chose Variant Human, we get a feature. There are options. I like Warcaster. It's really good. Tough is also an amazing one. Mostly because you'd be surprised how quickly this build stacks HP. It gets a little insane and scary. But my personal recommendation, especially if you're going for a focused element build, is Elemental Adept. Where basically, we choose an element, or maybe fire, obviously. The spells we cast ignore resistance to damage of that chosen type. Suddenly your specialty got a lot better. And fuck anything that thinks it isn't. Also, you treat any one on damage die as 2, which is just a nice little bonus here. I mean, I've seen fireballs I've rolled like 4 1s out of so many rolls, and it's just like, wow, if he had taken Elemental Adept, that would have been a lot decent more damage, and it would have been past 30, and that probably would be dead. And of course, if you want to get really ballsy about it, you can select the feat multiple times, choosing a different elemental type. So you don't have to specialize in one, you can specialize in many. I recommend specializing in one for reasons. Character name, well, something Hawke. Age, whatever the hell you want it to be. Height, whatever you want it to be. Weight, yada yada. You get where I'm going. Hawke was a custom character. You can make him look however you make him look. Yes, I know, I don't have anything for the background stuff. Go away. That's level 1. Start off as a sorcerer. Have fun with it. Now, we get into the real fun stuff, because as I mentioned before, he's not just a sorcerer. Now, this came when I rewatched the original Dragon Age 2 trailer, when he just beats the crap out of the Earthshock with that Staff of Partholon of his. And I just like, I really want to make something akin to that. Well, the Sorcerer can't do much like that, but you know what can? A Warlock can do that. A Warlock can do that, and it can add to our spell list. It can give us a short rest spell slots that we can use for, I don't know, Fireball comes to mind, Burning Hands comes to mind, all this other stuff. So basically, even when you're out spell slots, as long as you can get a short rest in, you are still combat viable. And even if you don't get that, I mean, later on, we're going to be able to whack things pretty freaking hard, so there's that. With a glaive, no less. We'll get into that in a minute. So let's start off with just level 1, because Roll20 is finicky as balls. And much like the Sorcerer, it kind of depends on how you want to flavor it. I mean, do you really want to straight up go for the whack on this part of the multi-class, or do you want to just kind of supplement your spells? Because you have options here. The Fiend is really good if you want to stick to, like, just as a caster. It's good, I'm not even going to lie. I prefer Hexblade because I feel like it definitely supplements for the lack of martial prowess. That and you get medium armor proficiency, which I really like. And dear sweet Lord, Hexblade's curse is freaking amazing when it works. When it doesn't work, it sucks. But no. We immediately get martial weapon proficiencies. Sweet, that's always handy. You can use basically any weapon in the game now. You get armor proficiencies, like medium armor, which we're going to abuse that crap out of, especially with shield in the future. And you can just use shields. If you want. I don't see why, though. Screw that. I don't like the idea of using shields. Shields are boring. And of course, we get a whole list of cantrips and all this that sadly Roll20, because of a recent update, can't show you because it's dumb. But we are going to take Eldritch Blast, and if I remember right, the other spell I didn't pick, I think it was Frostbite. Eldritch Blast and Frostbite. Just to kind of, once again, give us more of a variety of spell and elemental types to kind of throw out there if one isn't working. And of course, for our level 1 spells, I mean, if it gives us the option to take Shield as a Warlock spell, I'm not gonna say no to it. Oh. And while it certainly isn't exactly a hardy class, right out of the gate, we have free mage armor, giving us 15 armor class, the ability to equip medium armor, which will only make that number go higher, thankfully. And we can use martial weapons. That's level 2. I mean, yeah, we only have 16 hit points, that sucks, but we have 16 hit points with the ability to whack and Shocking Grasp, Firebolt, Ray of Frost, Eldritch Blast, and the ability to just have 5 extra AC on a reaction. That's 20 AC at level 2. There's not much you're going to encounter at level 2 that can even hit that high, and the few that can, gotta roll really high to hit that. And that's the foundation. Warlock and Sorcerer. As to which kind of subclasses you decide to go with, well, that's ultimately up to you. Now, just for fun, let's show you my, like, envisioned level 20 version of this character, shall we? Just because I really like the level 20 version of this thing. For the level 20 version of this character, it's going to be primarily Sorcerer, because we like casting spells. Spells are good. And honestly, the Warlock stuff, really good, but ultimately, at level 7 is kind of like the capstone I feel for this build. I mean, it's good, but it could be better, you know? I think you know. Yeah, you know. Anyone that actually watches this knows. Which means we get access to meta magic from Sorcerer, flavored how you will. I personally love Quicken Spell. I love the idea of, I give a good hearty whack to this thing in front of me, twice, with a glaive that uses Charisma as my damage and attack modifier. Thank you, Warlock. And then deciding to do a quick little Quicken Spell and hurl a fireball in that direction at that party of a-holes that need to die. I like it. I do need to reread the spells, though, because some of the meta magic options get a little squirrely with what they work with and what they don't work with. Also, Heightened Spell for the boss runs, where it's like, I don't want that thing to succeed. It rolls with disadvantage. It takes full damage. Screw that thing. Oh, it's resistant to fire. I don't care. Elemental Adept. And all those 1s or 2s. You know, just, it stacks and it's beautiful. Yeah, disadvantage. Oh, it's 3 sorcery points. I mean, it's still good. We still have a pool of sorcery points from being 13 levels where it's fine. And of course, ability score increase, yada yada. Elemental Effendi, starting at 6th level, when you cast a spell that deals damage to type associated with your Draconic ancestry, add your Charisma modifier to that damage. At the same time, you can spend 1 sorcery point to gain resistance to that damage type for 1 hour. Yeah, that's a good one. I like that one. So basically, your Firebolt just got a lot better. Not only are you rolling so many of the damage die, but you're also adding your Charisma modifier to the damage. It's like Agonizing Blast for Eldritch Blast, only it's with literally all your fire spells, or all your shocking spells, or all your whatever element you chose spells. It's beautiful. There's a reason I picked a Draconic Ancestry. It makes you feel like you really specialize in it. And of course, another meta magic. Distance spell is always a good one. It's like, oh gee, let me think. Range on Fireball off the top of my head is about 90 feet. Let's double that to 180. And it's like, hey, look at that. I can snipe you and destroy everything in the path. I just can't cast it twice, which makes me sad. And after that, its ability score increases. We're going to hit 20 max on Charisma in this build, obviously, and the rest is going to go to Feats. Primarily Warcaster and Tough, because why not? Moving on to the Hexblade for Eldritch Invocations. I did mention Agonizing Blast. We are going to take that eventually. However, I recommend out of the gate Devil Sight, because you are human, you have no dark vision, and while Devil Sight is argued back and forth in the forums of various different places, it's not actually dark vision. Yeah, but it's more fun when you treat it as super dark vision, okay? Like, yeah, point taken. You can't really see crap in dim light. I get that. I can see in total darkness, though. That makes up for it in my eyes. I feel like it's like Riddick vision almost, where bright is really bright and darkness just comes in weird shades of everything. Anyway, next invocation. If I can bloody remember what the hell it was. I mean, honestly, as you level up, you're going to be swapping these back and forth, so here's the final product, right? We're going to get Thirsting Blade, we're going to get Devil Sight, Pact of the Blade Boon, because we're going to be manifesting our own weapon. It's going to be the Staff of Partholon, because why the heck not? And, of course, improved pack weapon, so it can be whatever the hell we want it to be. It can be... oh, I don't know. A glaive sounds like fun. Glaives are fun. 1d10 with reach? That sounds like I can whack a thing and be able to bonus action a spell on it using Quicken Spell and not have disadvantage on the spell attack roll. I like it. And Curse of Spectre, you know, again, I tie that into the Blood Mage idea. I like the idea of, I just killed this thing. And while, yes, a Spectre, it's like, okay, I literally ripped this thing's soul back from the Fade, and it is now on my side, and it's going to wreck everything with me. I like it a lot. I've already forgotten which ones I took. Devil Sight, Thirsting Blade, Improved Pack Weapon. Okay, Agonizing Blast. Which means that now, not only does our primary element spell, like for me it's Fireball, add our charisma damage to the damage rolls, but now our Eldritch Blast does. An Eldritch Blast is a beam cantrip, which means we cast that multiple times when we use it. Oh lordy, that's a nasty one. And how many things are resistant to force damage, or immune to force damage in Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition? I give you a hint, all the time I played, not many. And of course for this, boom, 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 there we go. 20 charisma, and we got 2 more ASIs that we can put the feats. Gee, what am I going to recommend here? Probably Tough and Warcaster, the best out of the bunch. Because while this is a spellcaster, it's going to be a very hardy spellcaster that can whack things and be in melee on occasion. And of course, spell lists are whatever you all want. I recommend specializing in a particular element, but having some options in there that you can at least upcast for other elements, just in case. Because yes, you can ignore resistance to whatever your chosen element is with Elemental Adept, but it doesn't stop you from hitting immunity, and immunity is immunity. You can't do anything to it with whatever you chose, so have some backup spells here and there. Ultimately, though, completely dealer's choice. I find Reverse Gravity to be a fun spell, I'm not even gonna lie. It's dumb, but Firestorm, because fire. It's your fire. That all said, that's it. I playtested this build, or at least like a level 10 version of this build, and I had a lot of stupid fun with it. It's the most fun I've had with a caster since I've been trying to play casters. I have something in my eye, it's bugging the crap out of me, son of a whore. I've always had trouble trying to get my head around the idea of playing caster. I find them to be boring. I find that it takes too long to kind of figure out what you want to do with what they can do. You have way too many options, and it kind of takes people off when you take that long. That said, that's also part of the fun I found. Like, you have a lot of options. Like, okay, I could fireball that massive group over there, or I can Burning Hands this small group here and not burn the higher level spell slot to do it. That, and you add, if you ever just come up with nothing, or you're just out of spell slots, well, thanks to this build, if you're high enough level, you can just walk up and whack a damn thing. But if you still have the sorcery points, you can not just whack a damn thing, but you could also blast a damn thing, because you're Hawke. Why not? You can flavor it to where you just freaking whack the damn thing, walk up, put your hand on it, and freeze half its face, or melt half its face, or burn half its face. It's fun. I love it. Anyway, that's it for whatever I plan on calling this in the future. This little segment I usually call like Grim Rules or something, but that's mostly just for the sessions and all that. And I hope you all enjoyed this character build. If y'all did, great way of showing your support is by liking the video, subscribing to the channel, and of course sharing this with all your friends, be they Dragon Age lovers who want to get in D&D, Or be they D&D lovers that really like Dragon Age. And this is all from the source material. None of this is homebrew. I love that. I always try to stick to source materials for this. And thank you so much. I want to say the original building character blogger, because he was a massive inspiration on why I decided to do this in the first place, just to kind of make a day for a video. The guy has inspired me. He's done a lot of different builds, ranging from Edward from Fullmetal Alchemist, Darth Vader, who I actually did play test, and I actually have recorded and shown off. I love playing him. It was great. I scared the piss out of a vampire, and there's nothing better than that. And then I became a werebat, which was weird. Interesting. Curses are weird for paladins, because they're not diseases. And he's done a lot. Wolverine from the X-Men, Dante from Devil May Cry. That was like his most recent one. He actually has a video up of it. Battle Angel Aelita. The list goes on. Like, I'll have a link down below in the description if you want to check out his videos and his blog. The guy's great. And while he is kind of like on hiatus now because he's life, I really hope he does get back on this. I really hope he does try to do something with his YouTube channel currently, because I'm not gonna lie, I love the collab and bounce ideas off the guy. He's great. I kind of hope he watches this at some point so he knows how appreciative I am of him. Anyway, all that rambling aside, once again, thank y'all for watching. Till next time, kids, take care now. Bye-bye then.